I think this old camera's ready for one more adventure. 'Cause today, Saturday, June 17th, 2023, I'm gonna be heading up to Ogden to check out some things I missed the last time I had a big day out. Particularly a railroad museum in the old Union Station building in Ogden. Gonna grab a front-runner train up there. But first, need to do a couple of things before heading up there. Got my UTA fare pay card reloaded for the journey. Because I think the transfer between the Blue Line train and the front runner at Salt Lake Central is going to be pretty tight. I mean, like just a few minutes between the two. Anyway, see you at Salt Lake Central. Now here's something a lot of people miss, is the interior decorations just inside the roof line. I believe these are supposed to be bees. Then again, the beehive is the state symbol of Utah. I just thought I'd point that out. Won't be long now till my train to Salt Lake Central arrives. I think it's only a few minutes now. And in fact, if I look down the tracks, I believe that will be my train. I think it's currently stopped at Courthouse. So yeah, definitely won't be long now. Okay, so what I actually saw was the airport train, the Green Line train. That other train, however, is a Blue Line train, and that's what I'll be taking to Salt Lake Central. And just in the nick of time, here's that train to Ogden at a few minutes before noon. Typical 3-car Bombardier multi-level consist. And we have MP36PH3C number 15 on the point. All right, let's get on board.
This is the northbound train to Ogden. Northbound to Ogden. Please let people disboard before attempting to enter the train. Thank you.
Like, it was like one time when I was like, oh, like...
So, the train stops for approximately, we're actually calculating through the physiology right now, so you should find out that...
And over there, you see a bunch of buses. That's their bus maintenance facility. Over there. Once upon a time, the Denver and Rio Grande Western had their engine house on nearly the exact same location. So next stop will be North Temple. And we are going all the way to Ogden, just like I said earlier. Now those tracks down there, those are for Amtrak, Union Pacific, and local freight trains. They basically set the front runner tracks apart from the main line.
I was talking to him.
Feel free to call him an idiot, alright guys?
What the
The
heck?
next station is North Temple. Exit at North Temple for the track's green line.
Wait, are we almost in North Temple already?
They'll be departing.
There's one of the apartments I was considering renting from, but ultimately passed that up for another.
Temple. Exit here for the track's green line.
And that bridge over there is North Temple. And we're now approaching North Temple Station. There's a Provo-bound train on the other track there. Now taking in the view from the other side. Once again, this train I'm looking at right now is the southbound train to Provo.
Imagine we go this summer. I want to. You want to go skydiving this summer?
Now on weekends, I believe trains run every hour in each direction. Whereas during the work week, I believe it's every half an hour during peak travel times. Excuse me.
Like summer, and then we can come back at night here and be like, oh, we went skydiving. And we need to get like the kids photos. We're gonna be like, I know, we're gonna be like,
Huh.
what? What?
I don't think it's that. You ever get
Wonder why that other train isn't moving yet. Maybe it has to wait for a particular signal. The lights have just turned off and that train is now underway. Must have finally gotten the signal. And now we're underway. On our way to Ogden. And that's MP36PH3C number 2 shoving southbound.
God damn!
And of course, there's the bus bays. And there's lots and lots of construction going on. Then again, as more and more people move into the area, this should not be surprising.
The next station is Woods Cross. Proof of payment is required before boarding. You may be asked to show a valid form of payment.
Do the slingshot ride.
okay, please put that away. No.
Wasatch is looking beautiful. No, really. And now we're passing by the upper avenues. Actually, no, the avenues are further out. That's closer to the state capitol. So we're now leaving Farmington Station. There's a footbridge I've used several times before to access the Cost Plus World Market just beyond the station. Now, stations are one of only a handful of places where two front-runner trains can pass each other. Notice how this track is about to merge with ours. That's because much of the front-runner is single-tracked. In fact, outside of stations, I think there's just a handful of passing sidings. Really kinda limits how many trains they can run in any given operational day. So beyond these trees and bushes, we've got, I want to say, Interstate 80. And out the other side windows, we briefly saw the Legacy Parkway. That's just the train swaying back and forth. Bombardier multi-levels tend to be quite top-heavy. Certainly more so than most other bi-level cars that I've ridden in. But yeah, in my video, actually no, I didn't make a video on my journey up to the Golden Spike Historic Site. I was seriously thinking about it, but I ended up not doing so. But yeah, I definitely drove up I-80 there. Nope, it's I-15. That's right, I-80 runs east-west. Last time I rode on I-80 was heading both to Denver and back on a Greyhound bus. Don't think I want to do that ever again. But yeah, I-15, I drove on that all the way up to near Corinne, and then took a bunch of local roads to get to Golden Spike, and then after that I had to swing by the ATK, or it wasn't ATR, Rocket Garden. In any case, it's now under the Northrop Grumman banner. But here you see now, I think this is one of several passing sightings throughout the entire line.
If this is your destination, please prepare to exit.
Actually, no, it's the approach to a station. And naturally, we're slowing down because we're approaching a station. I also drove up the I-15 last October, going to and from Layton here to attend Anime Bonsai. Had a rental car for the weekend there, too. But yeah, that station house is for Layton, Utah. Not attached to the actual platform, of course, because that platform is right here.
This is the northbound train to Ogden, northbound to Ogden.
And that over there is the local Layton trolley. And just as I say that, here's another southbound train heading to Provo. Maybe these trains do run every half hour on the weekends. I'd have to look at the schedule again. Anyway, we just gotta wait a minute or two before we head on back out. One thing I should point out is how they incorporate art even into the front-runner stations. Farmington, for example, had a bunch of historical photos, whereas these appear to be sketches of historical buildings. It's a really nice touch for an otherwise mundane transit station. And that's MP36 PH3C number 18 shoving down to Provo. This entrance backs out onto an apartment complex. Pretty typical to have housing near a station, transit-oriented development.
The next station is Clearfield.
And right
Please
away,
allow
we're back
seniors
down to
and
a
persons
single
with
track.
disabilities to use designated seating.
Here we're going to see some typical suburban scenes. As we approach Ogden, we appear to be on an elevated structure. Well, more like a bridge over those tracks there. And there's a pretty long freight train with a helper engine in the middle.
Good afternoon, folks. We are now on approach to Ogden Station. This is as far north as we go, the end of the line. This train will turn around and become the 108 southbound departure. As we roll to a stop here in Ogden, please use this time to check the seats below and around you. Make sure you're not forgetting any of your belongings. Thank you for riding Frontrunner. Have a great day.
And here we are on another bridge. Goodbye, freight. Looking out the other side, you can see the rest of the yard. Here we see the old platform for Ogden. And that, I believe, is the Ogden Union Station building. And we'll be right in there in just a moment.
Now arriving at Ogden. Please hold your child's hand when boarding and exiting the train.
And the museum itself is right next to the current Ogden station. Okay.
This train will be going that way about 15 minutes.
I see they got all trains boarding on this side of the platform. Interesting. They've even repurposed an old passenger car into the Ogden Welcome Center. Very nice. There's a bus shelter over there, too. And a recharge port for their all-electric buses. As I make my way toward the museum entrance, I see here a couple of cabooses. One clearly says Rio Grande for the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad. And this other caboose is a Union Pacific caboose. There's its road number right there. And they're behind this steamer, number 4436. I forget which railroad this engine belonged to. But it appears to be an 060 locomotive, judging by the wheel arrangement. And there's the museum entrance. Apparently there's actually two museums in here. This one being a firearms museum, the Browning Firearms Museum, and the other being the Ogden Railroad Museum. And there's a water tower touting the old Union Station. There's a little bit of advertising for upcoming events and stuff. But that is our goal. And off that away where you see all the tents and stuff, that's historic 25th Street here in Ogden. And we have a couple oddly painted horses here. And an inactive fountain. Ah well. Let's go inside, shall we? Here's some historical markers. Again, that's a nice touch. Go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to read any of these. And now we go inside. Now check this out. This is a pretty nice train hall for a smaller city station. Just look at it all. Gift shop, of course. But yeah, this is what city stations used to look like back then. Nowadays, you're lucky if you get a platform and a few shelters. So apparently, entering the museum was free today. I overheard the lady at the desk explain that I think every third Saturday in each month for the summer, they do like a free day. Meanwhile, let's see the next southbound train to Provo out of here at about 10 minutes after 1 on this Saturday, June 17th. See ya later. Why don't we watch it go up onto the raised rail on the bridge or two over the freight yard? So yeah, it took me about an hour to get here from Salt Lake City by train. And now, that train is heading back to Salt Lake City and eventually to Provo. Alright, on to the museum itself. Here we have Southern Pacific, number 3769. Looks to be a GP series of some sort. High hood, which means it might be a GP7 or a GP9. But yeah, it's got that SP up at the front. All kinds of lights and stuff. Here we have a typical Union Pacific boxcar. And over there, we have a bay window caboose attached to a little switching locomotive, Utah Central number 1237. I forget what that particular class is called. But yeah, here we are on the old Union Station platform. And over there, we have two things of interest. A rotary snowplow and a railroad crane. Clearly the rotary snowplow used to be Union Pacific, but I wonder if the crane was. Any railroad logos or liveries seem to have been stripped off of it. And we see only bare metal. At a tender there, it looks like it was providing the fuel so that the crane could operate. And wait, it's faded, but I can just barely make out Union Pacific on it. And here too, although it's very faded again, you can just barely make out Union Pacific, Derrick, and then 690 3037. Again, it's all faded now. But those were both pieces of Union Pacific equipment. Now here I am on the other side of the platform, where I'm greeted by a couple of boxcars, followed by a tanker car, a couple of cabooses, one that's clearly says Southern Pacific, but it's faded. And there's the SP along with a road number of 4666. And here we have a Rio Grande caboose numbered 01504. And here's a switcher, looks like an SW1500 or similar car body design, most recent owner looks like it was Cargill, and it has a road number of 6751. And over here it looks like we've got one of the Alco RS series locomotives. Just make out Nickel Plate Road here. Down there is the road number 324. And would you look at that? That, I believe, was one of the many experimental gas turbine locomotives that the Union Pacific once used. And apparently, this is definitely one of the big blows. And the other one is, according to this placard here, is at the Illinois Railway Museum, which I will be visiting in 1.5 months' time. But yeah, you can just barely see the supporting units behind the locomotive itself. In fact, if you come over to this side of the locomotive here, you can get a better shot of the tenders. But yeah, able to pull over 700 fully loaded freight cars. Now this part of the locomotive must have been where they kept the engine, the prime mover, as they call it in the railroad biz. And there's the fuel tank, just behind that. Meanwhile, before I head back to the remainder of the displays, let's get a load of some of the other things they got here. There's another couple of smaller locomotives. I think this is one of the Fairbanks Morse engines. And that used to be a, I want to say it was a baggage car or a mail car. And between that is one of the little, I want to say GE switchers. But I'd have to go look them up again. And that car over there has definitely seen better days. Moving right along, got a caboose here right next to the Union Pacific engine. And now we have a Southern Pacific SD-45 locomotive here, number 7457. And hidden from view from the other side was this Santa Fe locomotive, or at least it was originally an ATSF, but then came under ownership of the Utah Railway. Looks like 401 was its road number under the Utah Railway, and you can just barely make out its ATSF road number, something 23. And here is a rather rusted caboose. Okay, so apparently this locomotive I pointed out earlier is actually a military engine, U.S. Air Force locomotive number 7277, 100-ton switch engine. And it served at Hill Air Force Base. Now let's look over here really quickly. Here we have another Union Pacific-owned railroad crane. And then you've got another smaller... Ooh, this was an Army locomotive. Similar looking engine. I want to say again that these were the GE 44-ton switchers. And here's a little something they did for the Salt Lake Winter Olympic Games back in 2002. Apparently this used to be a Union Pacific wrecking derrick. But they rebuilt it for the Salt Lake Winter Games. And I was right about the Army engine. It was a 44-ton switcher. But apparently it was Alco, not GE, that built it. And then we have a Union Pacific caboose, number 25,766. Typical top cupola caboose here. And now we're coming up to a Rio Grande engine, number 5371. This looks like another GP or SD series, more like a GP, I think. Okay, so apparently it's another SD, this time SD40T2. They were apparently used a lot in the very mountainous tracks. A lot of tunnel usage. They were apparently called tunnel motors or something. And now for my train back to Provo. MB36PH3C number 19, now on You know, once upon a time there used to be service further north. Just one station, though, to Pleasantview, but that's currently suspended indefinitely.